behind it, no healing. Growing ain't no limits to the mindset. From the roots to the crowd, we define real talk, real love, perfect timing. It's the nappy dreamer. Yeah, you know the vibe, no key or blame. Yeah, we talking real life, from fake to the fame. We just keeping it right. Love, money, self-worth, sweeping it light. Generational curses, yeah, we breaking that chains. Single or mama, still we healing the home. Black joy, black love, yeah, we shifting up from where we lost every lesson. It's a part of the game. Body, soul, yeah, we tapping you in. Safe space, no judgment. Let the healing begin. If you're searching for your purpose, let it start from within. We just planting them seeds, watch you bloom and ascend. The melanin mindset, where we grow within.
What's good, everybody, and welcome if it's your first time viewing. Welcome back if you're returning. I'm the neppyDreamer, and I'm here to report live on a situation that has impacted our community. So listen, before I dive in, if you're not already plugged in with us, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on those notification bells so you can be among the first to know when the Melanin Mindset goes live. If you're not already plugged in with us, find us on Facebook and YouTube, the Melanin Mindset, Instagram and Threads, Melanin Mindset _, and of course on good old fashioned TikTok, y'all, at the Melanin Mindset. So today's episode is one that's near and dear to our heart because it impacts somebody we care about more than you probably know. So today we're going to be doing a special segment on Guillain-Barré Syndrome. And of course, you know, around here at the Melanin Mindset, we love a good definition. So if you are wondering what in the world is Guillain-Barré Syndrome, it's a rare neurological disorder where the immune system mistakenly attacks the peripheral nerves. This the damage leads to muscle weakness, numbness, and tingling, often starting in the legs and moving upward, which can progress to temporary paralysis. Today we have someone joining us by the name of Tawana Furbush. I affectionately get to call her Gotti Furby. Other people might call her Furbush, but either way, she matters to the Melanin Mindset in a grand way. Now, granted, Guillain-Barré syndrome does not impact the African American community at the alarming rates as other conditions we've discussed this month. However, it impacts somebody we love. So we'll be sharing her story tonight. She'll be coming out to join me in just a moment. Now, I do want to share with you all a little bit of statistics. So, as far as percentages are concerned, African Americans are among those impacted by Guillain-Barré syndrome. However, it's not as broadly tracked in the African American community as it is in our counterparts. That's a concern. So if you're viewing and you are suffering from this condition or syndrome, please connect with your local facilities and let them know what's going on so that you can also be counted so that our community can be cared for at the rate that they need to be. So with this, based in the US, the population distribution facts state that GBS occurs at a uniform rate across different ethnic groups. African Americans make up approximately 12 to 14% of the overall GBS or Guillain-Barré syndrome cases in the United States. Granted, it's closely mirroring their share of the general population. So that's the information I found as far as statistics are concerned in our community and how we are touched. So before I move forward, I dare not continue without bringing out our amazing guest. We have Tawana Furbush joining us tonight. Go ahead and give it up one time for Tawana Furbush.
How you doing?
Good. So Furby, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm gonna try and go with Tawana. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do my best. All right. So go ahead and tell them your name and where you are from.
Well, the name is Tawana Denise Furbush. I'm originally from Washington, D.C., but I now reside in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Yes, and we love her. I'm telling you, I got to give her claps one more time for the one time.
And
Because
it goes
what would
both
this even be?
it goes
Yeah.
both ways.
So I'm going to be asking her a few questions to help prompt her sharing her story with us this evening. So the first question that I have on my docket here is, what was the first sign that triggered your concern, like that made you say, okay, something's not right?
This is my third time around with this. This is my third episode. And my first episode was in 1992. And I knew something was wrong because my walk was off, my gait was off, my balance was off. And I had some numbing and I had some tingling in the feet. And I thought that I needed to go to a chiropractor and get adjusted because I figured maybe,
Mm.
that was the problem. But I got adjusted numerous times and it didn't solve anything. And I started to really become concerned. When it really hit me to be concerned was when I never forget, I was going across the street. It was a wide street, 167th Street. And the light up at the further up the street was red. So I figured I had enough time to get across the street. So I started, of course, I was jaywalking. So by the time I just got to the middle island, and when I saw the car started to come, but somehow my legs wouldn't take me fast enough to get across. And then I hit the island. And when I hit that island, I could feel the wind of the car passing behind me. I just got up on that island in time. That's when I knew I better take this a step further and go somewhere and find out what's going on. Because like the message was not reaching from the brain to the feet that I need to move a little faster. So that's when I really knew that I needed to take this further than just a chiropractor. So when I went to the doctors, what they were checking for at that time, and this was in 1992 again, what they were checking for at that time was for MS. They thought maybe I had
Mm.
MS. All right, so
That's
that's what they
multiple
was
sclerosis, right?
sclerosis. Yeah, that's what they was going
Okay.
to check. And what in hindsight, I kind of feel like Guillain-Barré syndrome was not heard of then in this neck of the woods. Or with this particular doctor. I put it that way. And so, and not only that, let me mention too, since you talk about the percentage of blacks that have this, at the time I was going to the doctors in 1992, it was at a community center where they had medical facilities, and the community center was in a black neighborhood. So this might be one of the reasons, because our percentage is so low with this, why maybe he didn't have any knowledge of that. So he thought it was MS. Well, I completely
Mm.
healed from that. When I realized that, okay, things is better, when I was able to get back into my 4-inch heels and I could dance again, then okay, I was good. I was good. The second episode came in 2009. And at that time, I had, I won't mention the name of the foot pads that I used, but these were foot pads that I put on the bottom of my feet. And they were supposed to extract um, it was supposed to
The
help
toxins. It
the
was like a
toxin.
detox thing.
It was a detox thing. And not
Hmm.
that I really needed it, but I was into trying to
We
stay
try
healthy.
anything. We
Yeah,
try
yeah, I was
anything.
trying to stay healthy. You know what I mean?
That
So
holistic approach.
that's what I was trying to do. So I end up uh, putting one on each foot. And I had bought a bunch of them, one on each foot. And I woke up the next morning and automatically I had this numbing and tingling in my legs and my feet. The
Mm.
next morning, because I wore them overnight, put socks on, you wear them overnight to detox or whatever. And
Doing the
so
most.
my doing the most. And so what I'm thinking when this happened, I'm thinking, these are really working. That's what I'm thinking. So the instructions were to put on the detox pads, one on each foot every other night, or put it on every other foot each night. Well, the
Mm.
tingling and the numbing got a little worse, and I thought to myself, I think I'll just do one pad on one foot tonight, and tomorrow I'll do another pad. So I did that, and it got even worse. So I had a client of mine who was an RN, and she had asked me, she said, T, can you take me for the day? I said, sure. She was my last client. She came in. And so I told her what was going on with me. And I said, look, I mean, can I come down to that? She worked at Jackson at the time. I said, can I come to Jackson, get some blood tests or whatever? She said, well, it doesn't really work like that. She got her bag. She came in, she took my blood pressure. My blood pressure was high. And she told me, she says, you need to go to the emergency room. She says, I think you're having a stroke. And I'm like, oh goodness. And so after I finished doing her, I ended up calling my best friend at the time, Shaz. I told her, I said, Yvonne told me I need to go to the emergency room because she think I'm having a stroke. And I was trying to figure out whether or not I should put on my wig. Because now, mind you, this was Saturday. I was discouraged about going because I figured Saturday I'm gonna be there all night in the emergency room. And I went to Memorial West. And I said, I'm trying to decide whether or not I should put on my wig or put on my baseball cap, or something, just anything to go. She told me, she said, girl, you're having a
Why are you worried about being
and you
cute? Go to the
what you wearing a
hospital.
wig or baseball cap? I said, you're right. So I ended up going into the emergency room, and thank God there was only two people that were ahead of me, and them two were together. Can you believe that? So when I went in, they kept me. They didn't let me go home. They kept me. And it took them almost 2 weeks. Well, it took them a little less than 2 weeks for them to find out what was going on. And that's when they found out I had GBS. And then I had to get treatment. And the treatment was...
What year was that?
That was in 92. No, sorry. Okay. That was in 09. No, that was in 09.
09?
92.
So from 92 to 09, it took you to get a diagnosis?
Right. But the thing about it, I healed completely from 92. So I had no problems until 09. And this was just before I met you, a few months before I met you, before I started working at the school. Yes. So I had no problems then until I did that. And so they said, it was GBS. They did the test on my legs and stuff, and I think it was a nerve conductive test. And they said, you got GBS. Okay. And then that's when I realized in hindsight that I went through this in 92. And I'm like, this is what they thought was MS when it's GBS. And the nurse had told me, she says, you're really lucky. You know what I mean? I said, if this is luck, I don't know what. But I've heard some horror stories. And yeah, I wouldn't say I was lucky. I would say I'm blessed. I really would. I have heard horror stories. So I left there. I walked into the hospital. I drove there and parked my car. I went into the emergency room. And when I went in, I kind of stumbled a little bit because I couldn't walk. I couldn't, walk well. And I left there walking a little bit better and got it together, got my life back together. And then bam, here we go again. Here we go again.
So
this time for medication.
So that walks me into my next question. So you shared how you established or what made you, seek out your diagnosis, but how does this impact how you live your everyday? Like this month, we've recognized lupus, we recognize mental health, and now here we are with GBS. But how is this impacting your mental health? Like, how do you live day to day?
Yeah, I probably could have been on your mental health show too. Let me tell you something. This time around, I might add, each time that I've had an episode, it's been worse than the time before. Okay. Recovery's been worse than the time before, and getting to this point has been worse than the time before. And you know how fiercely independent I am. And and let me tell you something.
Bullheaded independent.
Oh, it can be a curse sometimes. It can be a curse. But I'm gonna tell you, I was coming home from work, and this was the end of February. I was coming home from work and almost had an accident because my foot could not feel the gas pedal and the brake pedal. And so when I was coming towards the red light, and thank God I was the first one in that lane, I was coming towards the red light. I put my foot, what I thought was on the brake totally, but it was on the brake and the gas because I couldn't feel it. And I went up, I kept going and I couldn't understand why I kept going. And then I realized that the engine was revving at the same time the brake was slowing the car down. So I had it on both, went into the intersection, almost hit a guy. And, but he moved out of the way in time. So I was like 4 blocks away from home, then parked the car and knew then I can't drive anymore. And what I tell
Mm,
you, when you're talking about being independent and you're used to doing for yourself, that was a piece of my independence leaving me right then and there. And that mentally brought me down a lot because now I'm
mm.
starting to lose my independence. I'm not good at asking nobody for help and not good at asking, I kind of suffered silently, you know what I mean? And so that was my first sign of my independence leaving me. And that really messed with my head, really messed my head. But I will
I can
say
only
this.
imagine.
Yeah, I will say this. The good Lord has put the right people in my life at the right time. You hear me? Believe me when I tell you. He has put the right people in my life at the right time to facilitate me in whatever it was that I needed to get better. Everybody from my boss to Sharon, my Chaz, my best friend. I mean, you guys checking on me. Is it anything that you need? I mean, I have not, I have a problem, and this is my problem, my issue, asking folks for anything, but I didn't have to ask nobody for anything. Everybody stepped up. Everybody stepped up. So that was huge and instrumental in me getting myself together, emotionally, being able to get myself together. That was huge, huge.
Mm.
And I pray that everybody that's going through this or any kind of illnesses that they have the kind of support that I have had during this journey. It has really been remarkable. Really been remarkable. Yep.
Well, Furbush, you leave an impact on pretty much anybody who comes in contact with you. I find it hard to believe that
Yeah,
somebody could interact with you and not have an impression by the time the conversation is over. I just don't believe it. So it's like it's easy for us to love on you because you pour so much into so many people that like how do you not want
I,
to make sure
I
that you're
try.
okay?
I try and I do it with passion. Yeah.
Yes. So, what would you say is the biggest misconception about GBS
Hmm.
in your lived experience?
In my lived experience, the biggest misconception. I think maybe the biggest misconception would be that you would never come back from this. That might be the
Mm,
biggest misconception. And I say that too because I'm in a couple of clubs, if you want to call Facebook clubs, that are associated with this condition. So I hear the stories, I read the stories, I respond to some of the stories. And there's always questions on there. Do you ever come back from this? How long did it take you to come back from this? Not asking me in particular, but just asking a question to the group.
just like those generalized questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, to the group. And so I think the most misconception is that you can't come back from it. I think that might be one of the most misconceptions from this. You can, but it's different for everybody. It's different for everybody because, like your description that you have, is that it starts in the feet and it moves up. I mean, in the legs and it moves up. With me, it started in my feet. Each time
Mm,
it started in my feet and moved up. And this time it went all the way to my knees and then my hands. My hands, fingertips and hands went numb as well. Didn't do that in '09. It went a little further. And what they really tried to do is keep it from going to your lungs, your respiratory system. I have read where people are now on ventilation systems because of it reaching that far, and that's when you're looking at possible death. Because when you're talking about this being a slow paralysis, you now the organs are being paralyzed as well as it moves up. So when I was in the
mm,
hospital in '09, they had me on monitors to make sure it didn't reach that far without them knowing it from the front desk. And some people it's fast, some people it moves a little slow. It's different for everybody. It's different for everybody.
mm.
Yeah.
So it's 2026. You had your first run in '92, you said?
92.
diagnosis in '09.
Yep.
And then fast forward us now to 2026. You
Hmm.
just recently had what you labeled as your third episode, I guess, primary event, like a
Yep.
main, like a life altering event, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
Um, how would you describe, or would you mind sharing what recovery looked like from this
Okay.
most recent episode?
Yeah. My recovery this time is it involved occupational therapy and physical therapy. I had to have both. I was in a hospital. Well, I went to the neurologist on the 2nd of March, and I went into the office, and from that office, after that I got checked. From that office, I went straight to the emergency room. The doctor said, "Get her to the emergency room," and it was connected to the hospital, his office. So they took me straight from his office to the emergency room on Monday. I did not get back home until April 4th. All right, that's
Mm.
how long I was away. I was in the hospital about 2 weeks, and for 3 weeks, for a little bit more than 2 weeks, and for 3 weeks, I was at the nursing home. I had to go to a nursing home. So my recovery for me this time was way more intense than it was the second time, and of course the first time. And I'm gonna tell you, when I went to that nursing home, baby, I was like looking mortality in the face.
Hmm.
It was like looking mortality in the face. And I even told the occupational therapist, I says, the physical therapist, I said, bang me good and get me out of here. I says, this is not my vibe. This is not my vibe. You know what I mean? I don't belong here. And she said, no, you are no different. You better, this is not my vibe. This is not my tribe. I says, I need to get out of here. And so by the end of the second week, when I was in the nursing home, I had do pretty much duplicated all the machines I had sent to my home the machines on a smaller version, smaller size, I should say, sent to my home so that I can continue my therapy here at home when I left. Because at the nursing home, they only do you for an hour each day, and then on weekends free, So I knew I could do better at home because I could do it as long as I want. I can sit in front of the TV and do it. You know what I mean? I wasn't restricted to just doing an hour. So I needed to do it at home where I can do it as often as I can in order to bring myself back to where I was before. And so when I got let out there, out of the nursing home, came home, I had all my stuff set up, got set up for everything I need. I mean, I had weights, I had bands, I had the squeegee thing, I had the bicycle, I had the arm bicycle, I had the vibration plate. I have
So you
everything
had a
that
whole physical therapy center set up in your
I
place.
had the whole circuit, baby, the whole circuit. And I knew that I needed to really be consistent, and I needed to be diligent about this because it was too important to not do this. This was going to determine how I was going to heal. And so I've been on it. I've been on it. And so I had physical therapy here at home. They had the nurses come in, and they would come in and give me physical therapy. I'm still in physical therapy, but now I'm on outpatient physical therapy, but I'm still in physical
Okay.
therapy. And so I still do what I do at home, and then I go to where I go to get my physical therapy. I still go there. I'm working it like crazy in order to make sure I get back.
So
Now,
recovery is completely underway at this point for you.
completely underway and not over. And not over.
Love to
My
hear that. And
goal,
I'm actually going to give you a round of applause for that one because we like to see the recovery coming through. Because I'm going to tell y'all, listen, I was not okay.
I know,
Okay. I was
I
not
know,
okay.
I
With this
know, I
last episode, I was not okay. I was just like,
know.
I'm listening to her share everything, and she wasn't as bright eyed and bushy tailed as you see her right now when I spoke to her. And yeah, I wasn't the girl was down bad. And it wasn't me that was getting impacted. It was me that was being impacted, but just in a third party fashion. I was not okay. All right. So Furbus, you share how your come home date was in April. April 4th, I believe you said.
Yeah, April 4th. It was the day
So,
before Easter. Yeah.
okay. So when you came home from that facility, like you said, staring mortality in the face, how did
Mhm.
it feel? Like, did you feel like, okay, my body's failing me? Was there any feeling like, okay, I don't know if I can do this? Or were you just motivated the whole time? Like, I got a point to prove.
When I came home, I was motivated. I was motivated to get home. That did a lot for me emotionally. All right, to
Hmm.
get out of that space that I was in the nursing home and do it from home. Emotionally, that helped a lot, which I figured would help my healing. It would help
Hmm.
my. But before going in, I was kind of thinking that it was over. Not over as far as death is concerned. I wouldn't say that, but I figured it was over as far as I figured I was going to be completely disabled. I did. And that's just why I had ended up I had a lot of stuff that I had ordered before I went into the hospital because I figured, okay, if I'm going to be disabled, I need to prepare myself for this. I need to get the stool in the shower. I need to get the bed rail. I got stuff for that people that are handicapped would use. And I went because I was hoping for the best, but I was preparing for the worst. I really was. So I felt like I wasn't going to have my job anymore because how can I do my job? I couldn't stand up. I couldn't because my balance was. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do any of that. So I was not going to keep a job like this. So initially, that's what it did. And then I had a friend, Roxy, called me. She says, "You are a child of God. You don't think like that. You're going to be all right. God healed." I mean, she gave me the whole.
And we don't.
She did, and she gave me the whole sermon. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, you're right. Because my faith is strong, but I did I kind of tripped a little bit there, when it came there, but it came
Listen,
back.
we stumble, but we don't hit the ground.
Right. I stumbled, there's no question, but physically I was stumbling, and emotionally I was stumbling, and my spiritually I was stumbling. Everything was stumbling. But no, it's strong, very strong. And when I came home, it was like, now I can heal. Now I can heal.
Mm.
I was not going to heal in that facility. But to their credit, I will say this: the physical therapy and the occupational therapy that I received was more physical than occupational. All right, that I received made my muscles help starting to strengthen my muscles so that it could withstand the condition that I have.
Mm.
Now I still have numbing and tingling in my legs and feet. I still have it. Fingers a little bit better, but I still have it in my legs and feet. So the condition is not gone. I have to go back and I have to get more treatment to work on that. But what the physical therapy did was made my muscles strong enough for me to be functional, for me to
Mm.
be able to walk, for me to be able to stand, you know what I mean? For me to be able to live a life as I've known it before almost. I'm not at driving yet, and that goal is for June 1st. Okay, I'm gonna be driving.
Hello.
Yeah, that's
That's
my
around the
goal.
corner now.
It's around the corner now, you know what I mean? But I'm going to go ahead and I'm giving it a shot. So the physical therapy was very good as far as being able to strengthen my muscles. And even though the journey I went on and going to this home that I went to, nursing home I went to, I relented because before going into the neurologist's office, I prayed to God that He would send me to the right people to take care of me with what's going on. And He did from the jump at the neurologist's office, from the very jump. So I had to trust the process after that because I had to. I had to trust. So when I went to the nursing home, as much as I didn't want to be there, as much as I looked at mortality in the face, as much as all of that, I must have been the youngest one there. You know what I mean? I'm serious. I think I was the youngest one there, and I ain't young, okay? But with all that
Oh.
being, with all that, I'm saying this is that because I had prayed for to for the Lord to send me to the right people, I had to trust that this is where I was supposed to be. I had to, you know what I mean? And it turned out that it was beneficial as far as me now knowing what exercises I need to do because I now have done them there. You understand? Knowing what equipment
Mhm.
I needed to bring home because I did it there. I wouldn't have got all that if I had not gone through that process. So it wasn't all bad. I wouldn't want to do it again, but you know what I mean. But I've learned from that process, and it worked out, and it worked out. It worked out. I surrendered,
Okay.
and it worked out. Hmm.
Listen, I totally get it because there's things that happen in life, in regular life, without
Hmm.
dealing with life altering conditions,
Right.
syndromes, diseases that
Hmm.
you gotta bounce back. You gotta bounce back. And I don't know if we're done with good old Furby at this point just yet. So that fight has to
No,
continue.
I
Can't
know.
stop.
No, you ain't done with me
Yeah,
yet. I
no,
ain't
can't
done yet.
can't
I
stop.
still
We're
got
not
some
done with you
challenge in me.
yet.
No,
So,
no.
the last question I want to ask you before we head out, if you could give
Mhm.
one bit of advice to someone who has recently been diagnosed within our community, outside of our community, within your age group, younger or older, if you could give them any piece of motivational advice to walk into this new phase or into this new normal, I guess is the best way to put it, into their now new normal, what would that be?
Keep the faith. Definitely keep the faith. Um, Try your best to not only just keep the faith, but try to get your best attitude. Try to get motivated. And it can be rough trying to motivate yourself when you're in the pit. You know what I mean? But a lot of problems, or what end up making the problems worse sometimes, is your thinking. You know, and
Hmm.
so it does. It really does because my thinking, I had stinking thinking when I had to park my car and couldn't drive no more. That's when I mostly started going down. So you have to pick yourself up emotionally, and you have to tell yourself, "Thank you, Lord, for the healing," even though you don't see it yet. Thank you, Lord, for the healing. And you have to act like it's already done, and you have to do what you have to do. You have faith, but you got to work the faith. And I remember a guy had one time was asked, "Do you believe God moved mountains?" And he said, "Yeah, I do, but I also believe that I need to bring my own shovel." You know what I mean? Because faith without works is dead. So I had the faith, but I had to work at getting it. I couldn't just lay on faith and don't do anything. So you have to find ways of motivating yourself. Put yourself in a space that's going to make you feel good, you know, so that all of that is part of your healing. All of it is part of the healing. It's not just physical, it's not just physical. So that would be the best advice. And I also want to say this too. There is a healing of the nervous system. It's a on YouTube. It's a prayer. It's about an hour. Well, I don't know if you want to call it a prayer, but yeah, I guess so. A long prayer. It's about an hour. I stumbled across this when I was looking for something, and it came across that. And when I came across that, it had my name written all over it. And so
Mm.
I'm thinking about sharing it with the GBS groups that I'm in. And it was about your healing your nervous system. You know what I mean? Spiritually, how you can heal your nervous system, and it was so fulfilling to hear that. And I didn't hear it just one time. I go to it often. So that would be another thing I would like to share.
All right, so what I'm gonna do for those watching right now is I'm gonna get that link from Furbush and I'm going to
Mhm,
link it down below
mhm,
in our description box so that you'll be able to connect with that content as well. Now, Furbush, if they want to follow your story, are you anywhere online that they can follow your story and see what's going on, keep updated with you?
well, I'm on Facebook. you know what is my Facebook? TD Furbush.
TD
Yeah,
Furbush on
TD
Facebook.
Furbush
All
on
right.
Facebook.
So
Yeah.
I'll link
Or
that
they
down
can have
below as well.
If anybody have any questions that they want to ask me about this, I'm open to talking. I'm an open book with a few pages missing. Okay, so I'm open to talking about it. Any way that I can help, I don't have a problem with that. And because this is my third time around, I think I know a little something about it. You know, I know a little
Okay.
something.
Well,
Mhm.
Furbush, like you already know, we love you more than words could ever express.
Love you more,
And we
baby.
appreciate so much that you've come on today to share your story. And I know it's going to be edifying to our community. They're going to be impacted and they're actually going to get some gained insight on a condition that is probably not popularly spoken about in our community. And so there are people living with it though. So we want
Right,
to make sure
right.
that we make as
They don't
many
know
people
what it
aware as
is.
possible.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, they probably are thinking like, "Oh, I just have neuropathy." No, it could be worse.
Mhm,
So make sure you're
mhm.
communicating with your doctor because the last thing we want, and I'm sorry, Furbush, this is not necessarily making light of the situation, but we don't want people to just be sliding out while they're driving, discovering
Right,
now something's dramatically wrong.
right,
So we want
right.
to be sure that you have as much information as possible. Stay well informed. And before I go, I want to make sure, Furbush, you've gotten everything out that you wanted to say.
Well, I also want to say too that with this condition, I cannot get flu shots. I can't get shingle shots. I can't get any.
Mm,
I can't get any shots at all that is going to be dealing with the immune system because my immune system will mistaken it as something foreign and it will attack my nervous system. So you will see on the TV when they have certain medications that they're promoting on TV, and then it will say at the bottom of the little disclaimer if you got Guillain-Barré Syndrome, or some other conditions they might name, check with your doctor first. Well, see, those would be ones that I can't take because it would trigger this,
mm.
trigger it. Yeah,
Oh my. Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And as a final take, again, thank you everyone for tuning in and for hearing more about the story of the amazing Tawana Furbush. And I'm gonna do my best Kia Blaine impression, y'all. So stay melanated, stay positive, and make sure you're tuned in with us every time we go live. We love you. Peace.